Phantasmic Journey podcast is brought to you by Tascam and Amazon Studios. For more than 30 years, Tascam has developed products for every segment of the sound and music industry. From the high-end audio professional in a major post-production studio to the novice of hobbyist at home, Tascam is everywhere. They are a company committed to providing their customers audio and video solutions that enable breakthroughs by using sound in ways that are exciting as they are accessible, even recording the voices of the dead. You asked for a non-scripted paranormal TV show. You begged for a non-staged paranormal TV show. You begged and you pleaded, and we have listened. We present to you Season 1 of The Paranormal Journey into the Unknown. It was released October 31st, 2017. In this series, we show you what it's like behind the scenes and conducting a real paranormal investigation. Join Gavin Kelly, Paul Purcell, and their special guests to seek out the existence of life after death by going to numerous haunted locations such as jails, hospitals, battlefields, and museums, collecting compelling evidence by means of video, photography, and EVPs. In this season, the crew investigates the St. Albans Sanatorium, Old South Pittsburgh Hospital, Jailhouse Pizza, and the famed Monroe House. And you can watch Season 1 of The Paranormal Journey into the Unknown on Amazon.com right now. Season 2 and 3 will be coming soon. Your journey begins now.
And good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Phantasmic Journey podcast. We are coming to you live from the PGH Studios here in downtown Paducah, Kentucky. I am your host, Gavin Kelly, and I'm sitting right here with my co-host, is my lovely wife, Paula Kelly. Syndication is brought to you by Live 365 and iHeartRadio. You can listen to the show via the web by going to http://streaming.live365.com/A00036. Or, like me, you have yourself an iPhone, you can go ahead and go to the App Store, look for the Live 365 app, install it, run it, search for WGKC, Today's Hottest Country. Same goes for if you happen to have an Android phone. Go to the Google Play Store, search for Live 365. Install it, run it, search for WGKC, Today's Hottest Country. Now, I bet you're wondering why WGKC, Today's Hottest Country. Well, to answer that question, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 a.m. until 5 p.m., I am a DJ for a country radio station. Pretty cool, huh? Well, let's not get too sidetracked. Tonight, we have ourselves an awesome guest. Our guest is the paranormal historian, a site analyst of the Ghost Hunters team on A&E. For the last 10 years, he has investigated alongside his New Jersey-based team, emphasizing the value and sincerity and legitimacy in his haunts. He has over 80 investigations under his belt, although focusing is investigating private homes and helping ordinary people. He has also delved into everything from abandoned factories and shopping centers to parking garages in Eastern Europe that have been built over a mass gravesite. As a writer, he likes the approach to an investigation the way an investigative journalist might approach a story. He not only enjoys conducting interviews with witnesses and digging into a property's public record, but he's also skilled in uncovering information quickly, which is an asset in any investigation under a tight schedule. I am talking about our guest tonight, Mustafa Gatollari. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing great. I'm happy to do this again. And I'm going to ask you, we talked a little bit about the fact that you're a DJ for a country music station, and I brought up country music unknown Joe Exotic from the Tiger King documentary. Did you get a chance to listen to any of his tracks?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I mean, I wear a lot of hats, man. Besides running a radio station, I'm a producer, a cinematographer, a director. Basically, you name it, I do it.
Yeah. So no Joe Exotic. You didn't hear him yet. I'm gonna send you some links. You're gonna hear them. They're hilarious.
Love to check it out. So how are you doing this evening? What's the weather like in Jersey?
It's a little windy, a little fire trucky, as you could hear before our call outside. So I guess something's going on. But yeah, it's not too bad. It's definitely not, the prettiest. I'd much rather be in Santa Paula, California.
Right.
Maybe not now with all that, shut-in stuff that they're forcing everybody to do. But under different circumstances, yes. But yeah, it's not too bad. Jersey's been worse.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever really, quote-unquote, been to Jersey. I think we've driven through it.
We drove through Jersey.
But we haven't stopped there.
Love it. You are going to love New Jersey.
So
it is wonderful.
Stopped at
The
that
people
gas
are
station
so
that
nice.
was, bordered 3 states.
Yeah, like Paula
The
said.
highways are not annoying at all.
Well, like Paula said, I guess we stopped at a gas station. Was I awake?
No, it was kind of funny because the highway said we were in New York.
Oh, yeah, that time.
And, and we got off, and as soon as we came to the stop sign, our GPS says, "Welcome to New Jersey." And then it said the gas station was down a longer way, and then we had went and turned and went down to get to the gas station. The next thing was, as soon as I pulled into the gas station parking lot to get gas, it says, "Welcome to Pennsylvania."
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
It was the craziest thing. I was just like, did we just go through time or a time warp, or how in the world does this happen? I mean, yeah, I was like, are you sure your GPS is just not on crack or what?
It's something, man. I mean, it's weird. Like, we're actually closer to some parts of Pennsylvania than other people are in other parts of Pennsylvania. And New York, it's weird. Like, I have friends who live in New York, and they're trying to get to Manhattan, and I live in Jersey, and they live in Astoria, and they'll be like, "How did you get here an hour before me?" I'm like, "It's,
Yeah.
it's called a map, idiot. Look at it."
Well, we all rely on technology so much. I mean, it's unbelievable. But here's the
I can't get it. I still use my GPS to go to my parents' house.
Yeah, but here's
grew up there.
Here's the weirdest thing. Lately, I don't know if it's a trend or a fad, but computers have just totally is turning to be stupid. I mean,
How so?
I can actually search for a file myself faster than the computer can.
Well, what kind of computer are you using? I guess that's the first question.
I'm using a top of the line computer for 4K video editing for our show.
Really?
And the thing is, I'm trying to find I'm searching for this not a PDF, but a PNG file. And all of a sudden I'm just like, okay, it's right here. I'm looking at it, and the computer's still looking for it.
Well, they have all the listening software on there. The computer probably doesn't like the way you speak to it. Try to be a little nicer, and then you'll be okay.
Maybe. I don't know.
just sweet talk a little bit. Play some Barry White, and you'll be good.
All right. So we're going to go ahead and just jump right in. Feet first. When did you become interested in the paranormal?
Ooh, that started probably when I was 4 or 5 years old, man. I mean, it was my parents and I, we moved out of New Jersey to move to this house in New City, New York. And our first night there, we had moved in a bunch of stuff into the main living room area. And there was we went into the kitchen, and my mom made us a big dinner and everything. It was our first meal in the house. And after we were wrapping up, I think my mom went into the living room to go and get something. I think it was some detergent, dish detergent, so you could wash the dishes or whatever. And then she goes in and she stops and she immediately starts speaking Albanian to my dad. And that was always a clear sign that oh man, some crap's going down if they're going to the native language, because that's where my parents are originally from. So my dad goes in there, and him and my mother are talking to these hushed voices. So obviously I'm a little snooper. I want to go see what they're talking about. And I go in and I see that pretty much all the boxes that we had brought into the home that were in the middle of the living room were pushed on the other side and back towards the front door area of our house. So my mom was really freaked out about that because nobody went in there to move those boxes. And on top of that, in that same night when my older brother and I were in our bedroom upstairs, we shared a room. In the middle of the night, we started hearing all of these noises. going on in the house. And I woke up and I saw that he was up, and we're like, what is that? He's like, let's go check it out. And we felt like the Goonies, you know, it was awesome. So we're like walking through, you know, the hallway, and we're going down the stairs. There was this huge like staircase, and there was this like big chandelier, and it was so cool. Like I just remember it's like you had like that pale like moonlight, and everything was blue at night, and you could see it like kind of like shining off the chandelier. And then we go downstairs and we go to the noise, and it's getting louder and louder and louder and louder. It's like pop, 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 pop. And we found out that the noise was coming from the kitchen. And when we go into the kitchen, we see all of the cabinets and dressers and drawers are just opening and closing by themselves.
Oh, wow.
It was nuts. My mom comes downstairs. She's freaked out. She tells us to go to bed. Again, she says in Albanian. She's like, she said in like Albanian, she goes, you know, Priyash, and like, you know, go upstairs. I forgot how he even said it, but it was just go upstairs. So I went upstairs, and my brother and I were just giddy all night. And then that kind of just set the stage, you know, for for the rest of our time in that house. And that's what planted the seed that got me interested in the paranormal from a really young age. I was 4.
Wow. I could just imagine going into the kitchen and seeing all these drawers opening and closing in the cabinets and stuff. I mean,
we were not scared. It was just like, whoa, this is awesome. We're like, this is so cool. It was nuts, man.
Either that or look at it and go, oh man, Mom's going to be pissed.
Yeah, she would get mad when we'd raid the cupboards and like eat whatever snacks that we had and stuff. It was just little vultures.
Oh, man. So it had like a bluish kind of a translucent glow, kind of like something that you'd see in like the Poltergeist movie.
I don't know. I mean, I think that was just like the lighting from outside, but it's like certain details stick out at you, you know, and there's just something about that color, or anytime I get that mood or anything. It's weird. It's a similar feeling. Like sometimes when we'll be on investigations, that actually happened. I got that same kind of feeling in Worley Hospital. We weren't getting any activity. This is Pampa, Texas in season 1. You know, we're at Worley Hospital, and Brandon and I are investigating, and we weren't getting any EMF hits because, you know, there's no electricity in the building. There's no wiring. It's this long abandoned building. They haven't done anything to it. There's, you know, like, you know, bird poop everywhere and like feathers from cats that tore birds to shreds. It was a gnarly place, but you know, we're investigating, and I just out of nowhere I just got that feeling. Something told me to go in this room. It's just like I felt like I saw something, but it was more of like I felt it before I even saw it. I looked, and then I could have swore I saw something move. I'm like, let me go in there. I go in there, and then boom, instant activity. EMF hits when we weren't getting it, you know, all of our runs before, and it was just nuts, man. It was awesome.
Yeah, those are the best kind. Going into a building with no power at all, no running water, none of that stuff, and all of a sudden you're getting EMF spikes. I mean, that truly incredible. The best part is when you're actually using. Now I know Brandon would smack me for this, but me and him had a talk about this on the air. But using an SB7 where there is no radio frequency. It is cycling AM and FM, but there's nothing there. It's complete static because, well, there's no radio frequency in that area. So it's just straight up white noise. And when you get a voice through that, that's kind of cool.
Hey, man, I mean, you know, whatever gets your rocks off, I guess. You know, I'm really happy with the tech that Brandon's brought onto the show, and we're able to document everything. You know, just in the investigations, it's completely changed the way I investigate forever. And it's weird. It's like when I go and I investigate with people at events and stuff. Yeah, we'll have a good time, we'll have fun, and they'll bring out certain pieces of equipment and stuff. But it's like I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, like this is cool for like a good time and like fun, but like I'm constantly like thinking when I'm in investigation mode, it's like, wow, like, man, I can't wait to go back with my Ghost Hunters team. And like, I really love investigating with them. I really love what we bring to the table. And I love all the developments that we have. And because we've investigated so much and we're basically traveling together on the road, we become super tight knit. And then we understand like where our head's at when we go into a place. So there's a lot of like unspoken communication. Right. It's so cool, man. It's really, really cool. And it's a real natural fit. And everybody brings something awesome to the table. But yeah, like I said, I mean, just anytime I get that feeling, you know, that feeling of like back when I was a kid, like that really magical kind of like, ooh, okay, this is real. Like this part of my French, you know, but like this shit is real, like what's going down right now. And I get so giddy. I'm instantly happy. It's one of the things that makes me like truly, truly, truly happy. And then to be able to validate those feelings with actual documentation, that's just, everything. Mwah, chef's kiss.
Yeah, it gets the adrenaline pumping.
So good.
So, during all your times of investigating with your team or with the ghost hunters, what was your most frightening experience on an investigation?
Ooh, so I would say the most frightening, like, again, like, I don't, it's weird because I grew up such a scaredy cat. And again, part of my French was like, I was just very chicken shit. Everybody in my family knew I was just the most scared guy in the room. I'm a pretty big dude. I'm like 6'1", 230 pounds. I've been roughly the same size since I was like 12.
Oh, wow.
You know, so I'm like 12 years old. I was like 5'11", like 6 foot. And I was just this monstrous kid, but like I was still a kid. I would still like cry. Like I cried so much on the Lupo Plain amusement park ride at this like crappy like Keensburg carnival place in Jersey. I cried so much and was screaming so crazily that they stopped the ride.
Oh,
that's how much of like I couldn't watch Nightmare on Elm Street. Like I couldn't hear Freddy Krueger's voice. I was a kid and going to a doctor's appointment, and the doctor was on Halloween. The doctor was wearing a Freddy Krueger shirt.
Oh, geez.
I ran out. I ran out the doctor's office. I almost got hit by a car. Like it was like that's how scared I am. So for me, it's weird. Like I don't get scared. I get really excited. But there was one time, and this is something you'll see in season 2, when Daryl and I were investigating together, and there was just a lot of weird activity in this one location, and we're hearing all sorts of things, and we're having an activity. We have different pieces of equipment that are just recording some really significant stuff until finally feels like we're being let out of one room to go down this hallway, and then there's a sound that we hear to the left of us down this corridor, a very long corridor, something straight out of a horror film. But it's freaking real. And on our FLIR thermal imaging camera, we capture something that is 100% identical to the claims that people had at that location. Now, our cameramen and some of the producers who work on the show, some of the production people who work on the show and our cameramen, they're pretty much paranormal investigators in their own rights. I mean, Kendall, who was with us, has been on the show on Ghost Hunters since the beginning.
Right.
So Daryl and I are freaking out. We're like, what the hell is that? And then Kendall's between us, like, what the F is that? We're like, It's like screaming, like that scene in Ace Ventura 2 where he's got the spears in his leg and he's looking at us and screaming.
Right.
It was like, that's how, but it was like, we were so excited. So we have to go down this hallway, and we're going down this corridor, and we're walking down. And the whole time it's like, oh, here I am. I'm 4 years old again. Like, oh my God, what is this? This is so cool. And I'm walking down. But then I started thinking about people who I know who have really been changed by experiences that they had. I've heard stories of people not being the same after being encountering something that really messed with them. It changes their demeanor. Mm-hmm. It changes who they are. I mean, Daryl himself, he'll talk to you about it, but he's told me about some weird experiences he had at the House of Wills in Cleveland.
Oh yeah.
And Cleveland itself is scary.
Right.
It's like you go to House of Wills, and that's like, for someone to be scared of that. It's like, I go to Cleveland a lot. It's like, okay, well, that scared me. It's like, oh geez. It's like the same thing when people tell me, like, parts of where I went to school. They're like, oh wow. But so we're down this corridor, and we're walking down, and I see this figure in the FLIR camera getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I just start to think of how people change like that. And I'm not proud to admit it, but I mean, it happened. They recorded it. I'm 100% sure they're going to put it in the show. But I looked at the camera and I said to my wife and Zach and Ava, my two kids, I said, hey guys, I'm sorry if anything happens to me. I'm sorry, but I have to see this thing through. Because I genuinely entertained the notion that, like, ooh, I could be forever changed by this, or I might come home and, something, I might have an emotional reaction or something, I might not be the same Mustafa who I am as a result.
Right.
So yeah, I'm sure the producers loved that little bit of drama that I gave them. But yeah, that was probably like the craziest moment that I've encountered on an investigation. That like scared me.
Yeah, I mean, that truly is scary. I mean, not to dwell on another show that certainly does that every episode they have, but you know, it is what it is when you get to the point of getting an oppression. I mean, I have actually seen something similar to this. We were filming at a place called the Industrial Slaughterhouse, and one of our camera guys was there, and we were doing an EVP session in the slaughterhouse. Now, I'll kind of tell you what the whole place is all about in a second, but we were doing an EVP in the slaughterhouse, and all of a sudden he was just like, "Oh man, I gotta go. I gotta get out of here." And I'm just like, "What?" So we kind of finished up in there, and then we went outside and found him laying on the ground in the parking lot. And I'm like, what happened?
Jeez Louise.
He's like, I was standing there, and it felt like something just went through his back and just started pulling, it's going to be sounding weird, but started draining his life force. In other words, he started seeing everything flash before his eyes, his life. And
his life force, was it like an energy bar, like in a video game? And he saw it like
it was like
yeah. No, I mean you've seen that. We had that happen at I think Madison Seminary. Brandon felt something similar. There's something similar that happens in season 2 with Daryl, where he felt like he was being charged at some point. So yeah, I've definitely come across that. It's a thing, but you explain this to people who aren't fans of the paranormal or who aren't interested in the paranormal, don't really have that much experience, and they're like, this is all just a bunch of baloney and malarkey.
Oh yeah.
But when you go on these investigations, and we don't know what it is. We don't know if it's a negative reaction. We don't know if it's an entity trying to get our attention. But sometimes all you have to go on are your feelings, and that's what we're really working hard to try and step away from. So, okay, cool. We have these feelings. We have these experiences. But how can we validate it with actual scientific documentation? And that's what I'm really, really proud to be a part of.
I know. The best thing is season 2 is actually going to answer. It's going to give us an answer for a question that we have been searching for a long time. And I believe that this answer that you're going to give us is basically the first stepping stone to the answer of the whole thing that we're all trying to figure out. Is there proof of life after death? Can we actually see them? Can we communicate with them? Can we actually get a picture of them and see what this energy looks like? And, the other thing is what type of energy are they? Are they electric? Are they radio wave? I mean, there's just so many different types of energies and electronic phenomenon, trying to figure out exactly what type of energy a spirit really is. And the reason why I bring this up, because Gettysburg, all of a sudden you'll hear a loud pop, you see a ball of light, and next thing you know, you see an apparition walking through the trees. So it's kind of like, I'm trying to figure that whole thing out. I mean, what type of energy is that popping? All of a sudden we see a light anomaly, and then we see an apparition walking on by. I mean, I'm assuming that's when the veil is very thin, that they just come through into our dimension.
Yeah, I mean, that's, again, it's very, very enticing to kind of get into theories. It's very enticing to go and try and theorize as to what it could be. For me, I mean, I'll start with a theory that I have, and then I'll go into I'll touch upon like what we've actually recorded after that. So just from a scientific perspective, right? No, matter is never destroyed nor created. You know, we have the same amount of matter. It's new matter. If it's destroyed, it's still in the ether of our universe, right? That's why the atom bomb causes such a crazy reaction. You split an atom, that atom is still there.
Right.
It's still there in some form. When we die, we're cremated, you know, maybe you put us on a raft and give us a Viking, you know, burial, or, you know, we're buried in the ground, or I don't know, you throw my body in the trash like Danny DeVito and a Coach Sunny in Philadelphia. I don't know. Whatever happens, we're still there, you know.
Right.
You're eaten by a hippo, you get pooped out, whatever. You're still there in some form. So what I think is it's energy. I think it's energy that persists somehow. And that's there. And I feel like we have recorded possibly what could be this energy that is left behind. And we do have very, very compelling evidence that this energy is intelligent. It reacts. It responds. We've documented it on this really new, amazing piece of equipment. And again, all of our equipment and technology is adapted from different industries. This one piece of equipment is something that that NASA uses. It's not cheap. I mean, even like when it came, you know, we're talking like when it debuted, it's like a $30,000 piece of equipment.
Oh, man.
And Brandon, thankfully, you know, has a lot of ties and a lot of connections with the scientific community, because he's always kind of on at investigating from that scope, right? So we were able to use this equipment, and we have a lot of investigators on our team. People have been doing it for a long time, and everybody's blown away by what we found. But it's interesting that you bring up light phenomenon and light anomalies. Again, I can't talk too much to that, but that seems to be concurrent with the stuff that we've documented. Now, not only is it a light anomaly that we've documented, or several different kinds of light anomalies that we've documented, but these light anomalies have their own energy sources. We have gone through so many different ways to debunk and disprove and explain realistically, pragmatically, how in the world this stuff happened, how we were able to record it,
Right.
how were we able to, you know, how were we able to almost incite it in some cases? And we always came up short. You know, we always come up short. I mean, there's some footage that we captured. It's funny you mentioned Poltergeist. It literally looks like a scene out of Poltergeist.
Right.
And it's real. It's all real. I really, really hope that we get the opportunity to show the raw data files. I would love to talk to production. I would love to be like, hey, you know, because people are going to think it's fake, and they're going to call out all sorts of BS. You know, this isn't somebody superimposing, you know, a full body apparition and using like, you know, Adobe Premiere to like record a room and then like put another picture of like, ooh, it's like a woman from The Ring walking through, like, you know, trying to pass that off on TV as if it's like something real.
Yeah.
It's actually like, this is a really interesting find. And then there's that, and then there's also something we've noticed too when we bring our data loggers there. There's changes in barometric pressure. There's changes in barometric pressure. So what does that have to do? What does that have to do with it? So these are really interesting things that we've discovered. Anytime, to put it in the layman's term, anytime shit goes down, there's light anomalies and there's changes in pressure. You know, even more so than I would say like EMS, which we've had a little bit of, but it's weird. Like, it's mostly just been changes in pressure. Why is that? So strange.
Yeah. Well, I mean, unfortunately, we have Hollywood to thank for all this, due to the fact that they depict paranormal to us different ways, and ways to scare the hell out of us. And the other thing is, you know, I just lost my train of thought. That sucks. With
just to say about that, like, you know, you talk about. I know that like people watch paranormal shows, you know, because they want to get scared, right? People want to be scared. So I think that there's a lot of people who are like aspiring paranormal, you know, TV personalities who want to get into that field or that line of work, or, you know, people who want to have their own paranormal show and they want to capture the audience's attention. Like,
Right.
It's tough. You need to captivate people's attention. So I get the urge, right, or the temptation to pretend like, oh my God, there's fucking Beelzebub coming out and it's got like a flaming scimitar. I get that. Like, I get that. I understand why somebody would want to do that. But at the same time, it's like, if you just do the work, right? If you do the actual work and you record and document actual paranormal phenomenon, that's way scarier. If you go through all the steps to try to disprove it after you documented something, what's creepier than that? What's creepier than like, oh no, there's like something that could actually prove that we live on in some capacity after we've passed, you know? And I think to me, that's way more goosebump inducing, you know, for proof of it. Like, you want to act like you have a lot of money in the bank, or you want to actually have a lot of money in the bank and have like the receipt and the slip for it. You know, that's the way I see it. You want to pose on Instagram like you're this big bad tough guy with like muscles, or do you want to get in the ring and actually knock somebody out? Like, to me, I think it's like actually doing it is way more satisfying.
Right.
But I don't know. Maybe some people kind of like the veneer of things better than what the actuality is. But I'm all for, you know, the actuality of the documentation.
Right. Well, the only thing is this is the train of thought that I was gonna say until I lost it. When you're watching the shows, they actually show, you know, the reenactments. You know, they say that there was a shadow that shows up in the doorway. All of a sudden, you see a shadow in the doorway, or they show the chairs rocking and cabinet doors opening and closing. If they are able to do that as a reenactment, what do you think the chances are of them actually doing that in the show too, to play it off that it's real?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I can't really speak to that. I have heard, and I'm not going to, like, I won't name names, or I won't say who told this to me, but like, I have heard, and again, this is all hearsay, but that there were like on some productions, you know, that you would have producers who would, unbeknownst to the cast, would throw like a rock at a tree, or like make a noise somewhere, you know, flash a light real quick in the middle of an investigation, you know, and do stuff like that. So, you know, it's tough. Like, you hear these stories about people doing things, and I think, like, it's funny. Like, I was we were investigating somewhere in Arizona, and I was just in a bad mood. I was in a bad mood, and we were investigating, and something crazy had happened. I was 100% sure it was somebody moving around, because we have to keep it very, very quiet on set. And somebody was like moving around set. I mean, we're at the location. We have to keep it really, really quiet. Right. You know, and because, you know, we're trying to investigate. Like, we're trying to actually do things, and we only have so much time. Like, I think it's something like they're spending like $1,000 a minute, like, when you factor everything in. So, like, you got to get this stuff done. It's like I think it might even be more than that. Like, they're dumping a lot of money into this, you know. So I take that very, very seriously. You know, I wanna make sure the investigation is as good as it is. But while we're investigating, I hear a noise. It sounded just like a person that was walking around. And I went back and reviewed the audio for that investigation. That was not nice. I'm like, who the is moving around? We're trying to investigate. And then, like, cameraman and the producers were like, dude, none of us are moving. You mean to tell me that wasn't any of you? They're like, no. And then we hear it again and nobody's moving, and I'm like, oh shit. Like, that's how convinced I was that, like, it was somebody that was moving. So we take it really, really seriously, like, really seriously. And, you know, we'll push back sometimes. And production, I don't blame them. Like, you know, it's not like they're trying to stage stuff. Like, thankfully, like, Pilgrim really, really respects our process, and they treat our show, especially now in season 2, they treat it as like a Veritas documentary style, right? Like, we're going to go do this. Yes, we have some lighting staging and stuff when we interview clients, or, you know, we're doing the reveal at the end and stuff like that. But the investigation is 100% unassailable. I mean, and all of the cameramen know that. All of that. They have. I was really impressed by like their ethics and stuff like that on the show. So, yeah, like our investigation's untouchable. None of that is scripted. None of it.
That's awesome. I like it that way. I want to see the real stuff. I mean, that's the reason why we actually started out with our show. We,
Great.
The Paranormal Journey into the Unknown, we came out and we were showing people what really happens during an investigation. Because really, when you're watching TV, it's like they're cramming an entire week into 45 minutes. And the sad thing is they're there for a week. We're there for a weekend. Sometimes we started doing challenges where we actually go and film for 24 hours. And believe it or not, we charge the place up. And we go in and just crazy what we actually get. And the thing is, we're showing what really goes down from the arrival to the unloading to the setting up.
That's awesome.
And everything. I mean, we went to a particular location and the owner came on out and he's like, looked at us and he goes, "Oh, this is it?" I'm like, "Well, what do you mean?" He goes, "Isn't there supposed to be like a B crew or something? Semis?" I'm like, "No." And then he proceeded to tell me. He's like, "Well, there was a show that came over here, and basically they had a B crew that basically ran all the DVR cameras, all the cables but 2. They didn't set up 2 camera, actually 1 camera. And then the real crew shows up, and they go and they're filming as they're setting up the camera and running supposedly the last 2 wires and connecting it to the camera. And here the owner's sitting there looking at us doing everything right then and there all at once. No B crew, none of that stuff. And he was just like, I'm truly impressed, but how long are you guys going to be here? For a weekend? He's like, man, they were here for a week.
Oh, geez, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we do it all. And the sad thing is we actually had a news reporter that stayed with us at one location, and she was just like, this is it? I'm like, yeah, isn't it great? Boring, isn't it? She's like, well...
It's like fishing, man. I mean, Grant will say that. He says that all the time, and I think it's a really appropriate metaphor, you know. You got to go in and you need to just document what happens.
Right.
So I think that going in there with that mindset is probably the most helpful way to get answers for, you know, not just yourself, but more importantly, the client, you know, whoever it is that you're helping out.
Exactly. The thing that's kind of, I mean, I really like the fact that Ghost Hunters is now, you go out to the clients and you help them with their issues and things like that. And the only thing is, there are, let's see, how do I put this? I mean, there was an episode you guys did encounter this, and I've kind of sort of encountered this once with ourselves, but you guys are investigating and everything is just going totally bonkers, right? And then when the owner...
Bonkers house.
Yeah, and owner leaves and everything goes dead. Bring her back and things start going back up again. It's like you guys actually had what they call a quote-unquote poltergeist investigation, but it has nothing to do like what you see in the movies. You don't have all these scary ghosts flying around and books and knives and stuff. It's just this person is actually somehow radiating their energy to be able to do this. That totally blows my mind. And the thing is, you actually have to try to tell the client, you know, unfortunately, but you're the one causing this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not in the reveal, so thankfully I don't have to have any of those hard conversations.
Poor
you know?
Daryl.
I get to interview them and stuff. You know, so Daryl and Brandon are, you know, they're going to have to do that. And then I think in season 2 we have some other folks going into the reveals as well. So we'll see how that plays out. But it was, yeah, I mean, you go in and it's. Yeah, I don't envy them. I don't envy folks who have to, Brandon or Daryl or whoever else is doing the reveals for that. It's uncomfortable. You might have to tell somebody, hey, or you get into a situation. And this is something that a lot of people say is like you'll get into a situation where the client really, really wants the place to be haunted.
Mm-hmm.
They really want it to either be haunted or they want it to have like an evil past because they want to market it that way. And that's unfortunate. You have to go in and you have to
disprove
explain
it
to them, hey, this is what, or disprove it, or be like, hey, this is what we found. And then they'll get like really upset, or they'll pretend to be nice, and then after you go, then they'll you could be like, oh, those guys don't know what they're talking about. Man, this is evil. Like there's a dragon here. It's like, okay, well, like whatever it is you want to say, it is. That's fine. You can do that, but this is like what we found, and I'm not gonna ruin my reputation to help entertain this narrative that you believe you have evidence for, because I did not find the evidence for that. You know what I mean? Like if you want to believe this, like I'll go with the bank account analogy again. It's like you want to believe that this guy is a multimillionaire at his word and go and do business with him, that's fine. But I would like to get evidence that this guy has money and is going to put up what he said he's going to put up. You know what I mean? So it's like you have to approach it like that. You have to approach it with facts.
Yeah, but the only sad thing is we actually had to encounter this ourselves a couple times. People knew what we were doing. They knew that we investigate and we film for a show. And next thing you know, we're getting all these calls and people are coming up with makeshift stories. And we actually did go to one place, and it was I want to think it was Grandview, Indiana. And this lady said that they just bought the house. Her husband is a police officer. She works at the hospital. And all of a sudden, they've noticed that there were weird things going on in the house. And they captured what looked like an apparition of a man standing in the doorway with no head.
Jeez Louise.
Yeah. So they sent me that, and I'm looking at this image, and I'm going, wow.
It's a man.
Yeah, I'm just like, wow. Okay, so we sure enough go on over there. It's a residential. We investigate it.
Yeah.
And the thing is, they actually did have something occurring there, but it was not what they sent to us or what they told us.
That's how it usually goes down. It's so weird.
Do what?
No, that's how it usually goes down. Like,
yeah,
you're going to a place and it'll be like, oh, it's not this, but it's actually this. There is something going on. Like, focus on that.
Yeah, it was really bizarre and weird because we interviewed her, and while I'm filming it, I'm just going, yeah, I don't think so. This doesn't make sense. But then Paula went upstairs into this one kid's room, and I kind of put together a paranormal triangle. And what that basically means is I have different devices at different points, and she's in the center. And she is reading from the Bible. And all of the devices are going off like they're going berserk. The lights start flickering in the room.
Really religious entity there.
Yeah, and the lights start flickering in the room and everything. And I'm just like, oh, shit, we uncovered something. I go, keep it up. And we're using the Ovilus 3 at the time, and it was coming up saying harvest, kill, bury, dirt, grave, evil, and it's Jesus. And then it started naming off the apostles of Jesus, and I'm just like, what?
Very biblical. Those are all very biblical words.
Oh, yeah. And I'm just like, what's going on in here has nothing to do with what they talked about. But after we were done there and we left, I wound up taking this image, and the image kept burning a hole in my mind. I'm just like, something about this freaking image. Well, I gave it to a buddy of mine. He looked at it and he goes, man, that's from a ghost app. I'm like, say what? He goes, it's a ghost app on an iPhone.
We had that.
Uh-huh. He gave it to me, and sure enough, it was a man in a top hat. But what they did is they kind of blended in the head top hat portion where it looks like he doesn't have a head. And I'm like,
Yeah, I mean, that happened with us at the Pillars Estate. I mean, Tony, the owner of the Pillars estate, it wasn't even his photo. It was a friend of his, right, who said he had taken the photo, but like his friend had emailed it to another friend, like a photo of the house, and then the guy got it, and he's like, oh my gosh, like this guy pointed out like that there was this image in this photo, and then Tony's like, what the heck is that? And I'm like looking at it, I was like, that is creepy, and it kind of resembled somebody in his not his family tree, but somebody in one of the owners, who Murdy, on her family tree. And then I was like, oh my gosh. But yeah, there was actually an interview that Brandon had conducted with someone that didn't air, where it was pretty obvious that like there were some holes in the story, and I kind of wish that they had aired that. But yeah, we had put it up, and then the second we found out it was from a ghost app, we were like, all right, we looked into it, and we addressed it right away on social media. Says, hey, this put out, it wasn't Tony who did it, it was one of his friends who had like put it, and they put it towards us. So that's what it was, man. It was nuts.
I mean, the sad thing is, when it comes to evidence, you really have to dig into it, and basically, when in doubt, throw it out, because in this day and age...
Yeah, we almost didn't even include it in the episode. Like, we didn't say it was paranormal at all. Like, we kind of disproved it in the show, but,
Yeah, but the sad thing is, in this day and age, when you have evidence, something like that, and you can just kind of put it on out there, people will eat you alive.
Yeah, but, I mean, again, it's like, I look at it like this. Like, I get a lot of... Like, I get a lot of criticism. I've people, after I got on the show, like people who I was friends with don't talk to me anymore. I have people who say all sorts of things about me on social media, and I'll be like, somebody will come up to me like, oh my gosh, did you see what this person's saying? Did you see what that person's saying? Or anything like that. And it's like I grew up as like a Muslim kid in America. First generation. My name's Mustafa. Nobody has my name.
Right.
Nobody looks like me. Nobody looks like any of my family members. And I have that, even though I'm not an immigrant, like I have that immigrant mentality, right? Because it's, to everybody else, the first question is like, where are you from? Where are you from? I'm like, New Jersey. Like that's where I'm from. Like, but like, everybody's like, where are you from? They all kind of assume that I'm from like somewhere else, or I was like, from another country. So I have this like really innate thing where like I want to be accepted, and I want to belong, and I want people to accept me and stuff like that. So it definitely bothers me, but you have to, again, just like we approach investigations, you have to look at facts. It's like, okay, like you have people who will criticize you. I mean, at the end of the day, you're only human. You're going to do as good of a job as you can, which is exactly what we're doing. Like we put in crazy hours. I'm super proud of the work that we do. So as corny and like Pixar movie as it sounds, it's like, as long as you're putting your best foot forward, right? And you're being honest with yourself, and your heart's your heart's not only in the right place, but you back that up with action, and you stand your ground when you should, which we've done a lot. I think that it really just, it'll bother me for like a second. But, like, the whole eating alive thing, it's like, what am I going to do? Like, some guy who, like, I was going to get mean, but, like, some guy who, like, I wouldn't even pay 2 seconds of attention to, who hasn't really accomplished much, like, let's say, like, in their own jobs. Like, what are you doing in your job? Like, what resume in life do you have to go out there and, like, just criticize people? You think you could do it better? Like, honestly, like, so it's like, it's going to sound arrogant, but like, I can't really get that upset, like, about a comment from somebody who I don't respect. Like, it's not going to bother me.
Right.
I said this on another podcast. It's like, if I'm trying to be a boxer and Mike Tyson's criticizing my boxing, cool. If, Jack, who sells ammo at Walmart, is like criticizing my boxing, it's like, okay, like, do you box? No. Like, all right, well, I guess your opinion, and I just take that opinion and wipe my ass with it. Like, what do I care? Like, what do I care? It's so you have to have these kind of really brutal kind of conversations to keep for the lack of a better term, like morons at bay.
Right.
And it's not going to bother me. It really won't. So, yeah, it's like, God, that sucks. Like, we missed that whole ghost app thing. But, yeah, we do rigorously throw out evidence. I mean, there's paranormal stuff we don't even show on the show.
Right.
And it's good evidence. Like, anybody else would be creaming their pants. Sorry, oh, my God, it's so vulgar. Anybody else would be going insane to get that evidence that we throw out. And they would build 2 episodes on one piece of evidence that we throw out for a lot of our episodes, I think. So I'm really happy with the standards that we put on the show. Anyway, sorry for the sermon, but I get really passionate about stuff like that.
And, of course, everybody knows it's going to be Ghost Hunters on A&E April 8th. And it's going to be a 2-hour premiere for Season 2.
Oh, yeah.
What time's it going to start at?
8 p.m. Eastern Time.
So 7 p.m. Central. Everybody get that? I'm going to be watching it, that's for sure.
oh, yes. Thank you, Gavin.
I'll probably be messaging you at the same time going, holy shit!
Oh, you will. Dude, you will. I'm telling you, without hyperbole, this is everything. Everything from evidence to production value, the way it's shot. There is no paranormal show on TV that's going to be like Ghost Hunters Season 2. And I think there's going to be a lot of people trying to rip that off. So for season, and then if we go on to Season 3, we already have plans and stuff for Season 3, and it's all very tight-lipped and stuff that we have going on for that we already can't wait to put on camera. So we're doing some really, really great stuff. And again, I hope people, like, everybody says, like, oh, what would you do if, like, another show, like, or somebody else, because, like, we show evidence to, like, some of our production and producers and stuff, and they're like, what would you do if, like, somebody else, like, got their hands on this and, like, did something better with it? And, Brandon and I just kind of look at each other, we're like, okay, we did our job, we helped further the field. Like, it's not like an ego thing at that point. I just really, really want to further the field, and Brandon and Rochelle and Brian and Daryl and Kristen and everybody on the team is of the same mindset. And I think that's why it works so well, because we don't really give a damn about being on TV just to help further the field. I think that's all it really comes down to. That's all it comes down to. I'm not like a failed actor trying to, like, go and, like, get on TV, to go and be in a paranormal show. It's like, I'm doing it because I love it, and that's why I'm on here. So it's the only reason any of us got the gig, man. Only reason.
Well, the sad thing is, and this is, the real facts, is once Season 2 does come out, people are actually going to try to get their hands on the equipment to see if they can do better, because unfortunately, this field, it's supposed to be for learning. We're supposed to be working with each other. We're supposed to be teaching our knowledge and stuff, but it is so cutthroat, and it has turned into one hell of a competition where people will step on whoever just to get higher up or get that best compelling piece of evidence over, their friend's team and stuff. I mean, this is just, it's not what the paranormal field's about.
Yeah, but for me, I don't, if somebody goes and does it and they get actual evidence and they capture compelling evidence, right? Yeah. And we've done the work to push them into that corner. We're like, okay, now you're going to have to fight an honest fight, and you're going to actually, like, I don't care. Build on what we made. I really don't care. Like, go and do what we've done, and maybe you can build on it. Maybe you can get great evidence, whatever. But what I don't want to see is people copying the technology and the experiments that we're doing, and then mess with it and falsify things using our technology, and then that'll bring a bad name to the tech that we're adapting from other industries.
Right.
So that's what I'm worried about. If somebody goes and gets this piece of equipment or these other pieces of equipment that we're using, and then they're trying to say that, oh, they found this on it, and it's like, dude, come on, like, that's don't fake it, like, just do it, trust it. I was the biggest skeptic in the world when I started paranormal investigating. It's why I got into it, because my family was blaming all their problems on these, like, paranormal things that were going on in their house, and I was sick and tired of the superstition. So I am probably the biggest believer. I don't think I believe more in it now than I ever have in my life. Like right now is when I believe in it. Right now is when I believe in it the most. It's crazy, and that's 100% what we found and what we've discovered in season 2. I know I sound like a used car salesman, just giving like a crazy pitch for the show. Come and watch it. Come on. Bring your grandmother. She can use the show too. Yeah, it's like no, we did the work. It was grueling. It was tough. It was insane. There was a lot of, there's always obstacles. It's never, ever easy. But what great thing in life is easily obtained? If you're going the easy route, you're going the loser's route, So ultimately, I'm really proud of what we've accomplished. So, my hat's off to everybody who's worked on this season and all the other episodes. Kendall and his camera crew, our sound guys, the producers, production, Pilgrim back in LA, the editing team over there, and all of my wonderful, wonderful, wonderful co-investigators. I'm truly proud of what I created, helped to create, what we all helped to create. And I can safely say, as one of the most critical and opinionated people in the world, that I am ultimately proud of what we put out for season 2, and I cannot wait to see how the shows are put together.
Right on. How do you feel about people being more open to the paranormal compared to 20 to like 25 years ago? Do you believe these shows that are out happen to help it be more open on the subject?
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, again, I don't really. It's kind of hard for me sometimes to like watch some paranormal programming, and I get like, because I do it for a living, and I have a very specific vision for how I like things to be, and I'll check them out from time to time. But anything that gets people to talk about it some more and to get their interest in it some more, I think is great. The more eyes that are on it, and the more people that are trying to, uncover that mystery, for the lack of a better term, you're going to ultimately have more people who are potentially going to watch, and that's going to bring more money into it, and there's more money in the field. If we're at the forefront as ghost hunters, if we're showing like, hey, we're the gold standard in terms of scientific practice and principle, if we're doing this is the way that we like to do it, to document it, to help further the field. If we're that gold standard and we get those views, that's great. That's wonderful. I don't want to be a snake oil salesman. It's not what I'm interested in. I don't want to spook people in a reality show. If I wanted to do that, I'd be a horror film director, and I'd make scary movies. But it's, I think that this way our show is scary naturally because we do the due diligence. And I think ultimately it could be, it's great, even if it's like an entertainment show, like if it gets people to come and check us out or go and check out scientific principles of how to be, you might get the next great paranormal investigator from somebody who watched, another program that's like kind of more like focused on like the scare factor of it.
Right.
MTV Sphere, who knows? Somebody could have watched MTV Sphere and like I got into doom metal and like death metal, and like cool bands like that because like I'm not even kidding you, because I used to listen to like crappy '80s hair metal bands like Warrant. Like I'm not even kidding you. Like Cherry Pie was like my favorite song when I was like 14 years old, and because I started listening to Warrant, like I got into Led Zeppelin. Because I got into Led Zeppelin, I started listening to Black Sabbath. Because I got into Black Sabbath, I got into like, and it all started with Warrant, So it's like, okay, cool.
God,
got a purpose.
It just took me on down memory lane to 80 hair bands.
The real Warrant song, the real Warrant track is Uncle Tom's Cabin. That's the one. That's the creme de la creme. It's so good.
Oh, man. All those bands. I put up a post a couple days ago, and it basically had the font from different bands, but the names were not the bands. Like they used the Slayer font, but it was called Toilet Paper, and the one for Korn. Yeah, you seen that? That was crazy.
Yeah. I've seen that. Yeah. It's
A lot of people could not figure out who the heck all the bands were. I'm like, really?
Yeah. I mean, Slayer's a little different. I mean, you know what I mean? But, like, you get into, like, you know, Rat, Warrant, Dokken, Striper, Wasp. Let's see. You know, Def Leppard's a little different, but, like, you know, there's... Can't believe we're talking about this. This is great. I love 80s hair metal so much.
Well, I'll tell you something that'll blow your mind. Many moons ago. See, I'm not originally from Kentucky. I was raised for 19 years in Pasadena, California. And
you're a Pasadena guy?
Yeah.
Did you tell that to Brandon?
Yeah, I've already talked to Brandon, but he's a Cali guy. Yeah, I know.
Bakersfield.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about Bakersfield, but not about in the area I was. But in my area of Pasadena, right across the street was Arcadia, and 6 doors down was Eddie Van Halen's house.
Oh man!
On the garage, you can see the VH. You can see it when you're driving on the freeway to get onto the off ramp. And besides that, I actually did the logo for Striper.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
You did the logo for Striper?
Yeah. Man, that is so old. It's unreal.
You did the logo for Striper. I'm looking it up right now.
I did that.
Logo.
Yeah, I did that logo in 3D Studio for DOS.
This is badass.
Oh, yeah.
Striper.
Yeah. A buddy of mine was real good friends with Michael Sweet. So when they were first starting out, he was like, because I drew a lot, and I started drawing, different things, and he's like, have you ever tried to draw like a band logo? And I'm like, I can draw Van Halen. And I did. And he's like, well, there's this band that's just starting out, and they need to have a logo. I'm like, okay. So what are they looking for? And he kind of told me, and I'm like, okay. So I did it.
This is great. This is fantastic. Oh
man, if I could just find my portfolio. It's actually laminated when I did all the logos. My God.
Them and Night Ranger are just like cut from the same cloth, dude.
Well, I started doing logos for a lot of people. I actually did the first one. Now, this is back then when I was really... After I started listening to Striper, I started getting heavily into heavy Christian bands. I was listening to Bride. And
oh, wow.
There was one called Angelica. And I did their first draft of their logo. Wow,
really? Angelica?
Yeah. So... Yeah, those were the days. Oh man,
that's funny, man. That's awesome.
But let's jump back onto the paranormal train here. I told you I wore a lot of hats.
I love that.
So let's see what we got here. Have you ever worked with a strange but yet a weird case or location where you just really didn't have an answer to give about what was happening there?
I mean, there's a lot of our cases ended up like that. A lot of our cases where we didn't get as many answers as we'd like to. We would find really interesting stuff when we give clients a good starting point. But I think the one place I'd really like to revisit is Landol's Mohican Castle. I know I got a lot of people talking about the rogue entity starting fires, kind of like thing that I just threw out over there. But that was a really interesting place. I would love to go back there. One, because it's beautiful, and it's a cool spot, and I liked it. And man, the gas station donuts in Ohio were just messes, and I'd like to get one of those bear claws. But on top of that, it was just a cool spot, and I think that there's a lot more evidence that we could collect, especially with the practices and some new experiments that we've been using on some of our later cases. So if I could ever get a chance to get back to Landol's, I would love that. Just because it's like, wow, I feel like we didn't even scratch the surface there. We got some cool stuff, but like, I would love to go and investigate. And you know how it is. You investigate a place. I mean, I've had investigations that lasted almost 2 years before.
Oh, wow.
So, yep. So that's it would be an honor to go back there and give it another go.
Well, I know you guys went to a lot of places that's on my bucket list, like the St. Augustine Lighthouse. Man.
Oh yeah, that was cool, man. That was cool.
I've been wanting to go there.
That almost wasn't even an episode. I mean, they were kind of doing that as just to see how the team gelled together. And we went out there, and we were just mostly just like, okay, we were doing some runs, and apparently, like, I mean, there was some great stuff that had happened that we got on camera. But man, St. Augustine Lighthouse honestly feels like 5 years ago. It's crazy. And we filmed that in April of 2019. So, geez Louise.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you guys are racking up them frequent flyer miles, that's for sure.
Oh yeah. I got plenty. They're all mine. Can't use them now though. Jesus.
Yeah, that's true. With this coronavirus thing going around.
I can't wait till it's over.
Oh, you and me both. I just found out from earlier today that we have surpassed China on confirmed cases.
Oh yeah. That's nuts, right?
Yeah, I was like, we started last. How in the world did we just blow over them?
I don't know, man. I would love. I go into political rants too much. I'm not gonna even dip my toe into that water right now. So, yeah, I don't know why that is, but it's crazy.
Yeah, I've been following this thing left and right because we started getting cases now in our county. I mean, we're talking close to freaking home. It's in my town now. So it's time to get worried.
Yeah. Just do what practice the safe social distancing, wash your hands, do all the things they're saying.
It's all the stuff that we normally would be doing on a daily basis, except this.
Apparently not for some dirty bastards out there. They're gonna wash my hands now.
Oh, I know. But the distancing, that I believe is just a freaking joke. I mean, think about it. You're in a room with maybe 6 people, and you're doing the 6-foot distancing thing. If you can, you're still in an enclosed space.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I can't speak to it. I really just. Well, like I said, I could go into a rant, but I'm not going to. So that's it. That's all I'll say. Hopefully it's over soon. That's it.
Oh, man. So let's see what we got here. Do you believe some people are more perceptive to the paranormal activities than others?
So something interesting happened to me when I was actually at an event recently, and there was a fan of the show. She was a really, really, really wonderful woman. You could tell that she had a very deep love for paranormal investigating, and she was sincere, extremely sincere. And she comes up to me and, she asks me if I ever considered learning empathetic and psychic practices, and
right.
to maybe even go so far as to label myself that. And I said, it never crossed my mind. And she said that, well, I believe that you are empathetic. You're an empath. I believe that entities really are drawn to you and your energy for whatever reason, and that you, especially children, they're like really drawn to you. And it was weird. Like at first I was like, okay, well, thank you, but then when we went to go and investigate, it was this strange thing that happened temporarily in my mind where I was like, I felt like, okay, this person views me as this, right?
Right.
So I must be an authority on ghosts. I must be the ghost whisperer, like walking into a room like a messiah. Like I can talk to these. Like I can talk to them. Like, oh yes, come to me, my ectoplasmic children. Like, it's like it's weird. Like, and I caught myself kind of like getting a big head about that.
Right.
I don't think that I am. I don't know enough about empathy or empaths or people who are perceptive. stuff like that. I know that there are instances where certain people get certain feelings that end up being pretty on point or pretty crazy.
Right.
Too crazy to the point where it's too insane to be coincidental.
Mm-hmm.
But I look at it like this, right? Just entities, most of the time when we're talking to entities, they're people. They're human beings, right?
Right.
And just like in life, you attract the people you're supposed to attract when you're being honest,
Mm-hmm.
and you repel the people you're supposed to repel when you're being honest, right? So when I go into an investigation, the number one thing for me to do is how do I hit honesty in this investigation? And that means not cutting anything out, anything that I'm feeling, anything that I'm experiencing, whatever that first feeling is. There have been plenty of times where, like, we'll be driving to a place, and Brandon and I will look at each other and we'll be like, I don't freaking feel like doing this at all. I don't feel like going in there at all. I don't feel like investigating at all. I don't want to do anything right now.
Right.
You can't ignore that feeling. You cannot do that because most human beings are disconnected. We're usually disconnected. How many times do you wake up, I'm married, I love my wife, but like I wake up and I look at her and I'm like, gosh, I wish I could love her even more. I wish I could have a better feeling with her. Look at my kids, I want to play with them. Like, man, I want to have even more fun than I'm having with them right now. I want to love my job more. I want to love my workouts more. I want to love the things that I write and do for the website that I write for more. I want to love it more. I want more and more and more out of life. I want it. I want more of it.
Right.
So if I notice when I go in with that mentality and that mindset, and I'm being honest with myself, right, and playing out more Mustafa and not pretending to be a ghost whisperer or like pretending to be somebody who has all the answers and pretending to be so connected to what I'm doing, and instead being more human, right? Not settling for it, fighting to do better in the face of all the stuff and insanity of production and all the stuff that's going on. I have noticed when I'm working more with that as a team, we get more activity.
Right.
And I think that has to do theoretically with just being drawn to that. People are going to be drawn to that in real life as they are in death to who they want to be drawn to.
Mm-hmm.
Your people are your people, man. The people you like to hang out with. I have my best friend in the world, Chris Conroy. Within a couple of weeks of meeting him, it's just something like, wow, like I get along with this person, we get each other's humor, and it's just there. You cannot fake that. It's like this kind of weird chemistry that you have that's just there. It sparks up. Brandon and I, from day one, it was just something. It was like, even when we're screen testing for it, it's like, I like this guy. And that's just something that happened. And I have it with Daryl, and I have it with the other members of the team. We have these very specific types of chemistry, and if you're not being yourself, man, I mean, you're gonna push away the people that you should be hanging out with.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna be pushing away the entities that would be responding to you, and you're gonna be pushing away and you're gonna be inviting the people and possibly the entities you shouldn't be inviting.
True.
So that's my answer to that. In terms of, I don't know if it has to do with who's more perceptive and who's more empathetic. But I think it's just like who's more honestly themselves. And I think if you find people who are truly empathic, right? Like we went on investigations with people who are full of shit. Like, you when you're in the room with somebody who's full of shit and they're pretending to be like this psychic, and it's ridiculous. But then you get other people who aren't. And I promise you, the people who are more honest with themselves and more comfortable with who they are. And I think that's why Rochelle gets a lot of this stuff, because she's one of the most honest people. She knows 100% who she is in a lot of ways. You know what I mean? Like she's very, very honest and comfortable with who she is in a lot of ways. So, I find that, I think that's why that works for her, or she gets certain feelings in certain places when she's really working with that honesty, just like all of us are.
Yeah. The thing about being in a room with a psychic and they're full of shit. My favorite thing to do is, they're talking and they're saying, yeah, they're communicating with such and such. I'm like, okay, I'm going to test the theory. I'm going to write down on a piece of paper a number. I want you to hold the number behind your back. I want your entity to tell you what that number is. And they look at you and go, well, it doesn't work that way. I'm like, really?
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's the thing is it's like, I don't claim to be like a ghost whisperer, and I don't know what it is. Like, I'm not saying like all psychics are like, bad or like whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But what I am saying is it's like, when, when something, it was funny, like somebody had tweeted at me once and they were like, you could just tell they were like grabbing at straws. They're like, oh, somebody in this episode, they were like talking to you. It was like your grandmother who was trying to reach out to you.
Oh, geez.
And I was like, my grandmother's alive. And she goes, no, the one from your mom's side. I'm like, she's alive too. And
try again.
And they're like, your great grandmother. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I just left it at that. And I was like, I could have been like, all right, what are they saying? Like, or when did they pass? Because like, even my great grandmother from my dad's side only passed away a few years ago. She was like 100 and like almost 20. She was like 120 years old when she passed.
Damn.
So like I know, old ass Albanians. But it's I don't. Yeah, it was just weird. So it's like, okay, like it doesn't bother me. Hey, whatever floats your boat. Creams your Twinkie and everything in between. Just do it. I'm just. But I'll say like I'll throw a shit fit if production ever tries to like put a psychic on the show that isn't 100% vetted. I'm like, if you claim to be a psychic, I want to know. I want to go on 100 trial runs with you before I'll leave the show. I'm not even kidding. Like, I won't do it.
Right.
I'll never do it. I'll never do it. It has to be validated.
Oh yeah. I just wish that I could actually have an ability. I mean, my wife Paula, she is an empath and a sensitive, and the deal is, I mean, for some weird reason, there has been times where I kind of go into a place and I'm just like, whoa, the room feels like it's caving in, or something like that.
That's that heavy feeling.
Yeah, and I really would like to have the ability to see them, because I just know for a fact we're in a room, we're sitting there doing an EVP session, and we're like talking out to air in front of you when they're actually behind you.
Ooh.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of drives me nuts. I would just love to know. And I've actually seen that happen. We were at Waverly Hills, and
great place.
Oh yeah. And we were in there, and we're sitting there doing an EVP session in the morgue. And the funny thing is like, we're like going, okay, we're holding the recorders out in front of us, right? And I was just like, well, what if it's on the other side of you? So we kind of got smart. So one went to the left of me, one went to the right to me. And I'm like, okay, no problem. Well, then there was a psychic there, and she's snickering. And I'm like, what are you snickering about? She goes, you think they're in front of you. They're in back of you.
Oh, God.
I'm like, oh, come on. Are you serious? So, yeah, I wish I could have that ability. They can see them and they can talk to them like right at them. So when you see them actually talking to somebody, they're like right there in front of them. We're just aiming to air. Hopefully we're talking to somebody.
I don't know, man. I mean, I wish I'd... It would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
But then again, like, how do you shut it off? Like, what if you're just trying to like I can't pee in front of other people. So like, what if I walk into a room and I can see them, and like, I'm in the bathroom. I'd rather not be able to see them because I gotta pee. I get gun shy. So like, what am I gonna do? Like, certainly I can't do anything. Or like, what if I'm in bed with my wife? Like, I don't want to know somebody's there watching me. Like, it's weird. Like, I don't want that ability. How do you turn it off? Can I get an off switch? Can I get an app? Like, can I uninstall it when I don't want to use it anymore or something?
Well,
that would be cool.
Ghosts watch you poop. I've seen the shirt.
Oh, they do. I hope I'm looking them right in the eyes when I do it. Too. I just don't want to see them. I don't want to see the eyes. But it's fine.
Oh, Lord. Oh, man. Well, I tell you what, we've had a good time with you on the show here, so I'm going to give you some time to let our listeners know where they can find you. You've got websites, events that you're going to be appearing at, so The floor is all yours.
Ooh. Yeah, no, definitely. Again, season 2 of Ghost Hunters premieres on A&E TV at 8 p.m. Wednesday, April 8th, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's going to be a 2-hour season premiere. You can catch me on Instagram. It's my first initial of my name, M. Gatollari, at M. Gatollari on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook, Mustafa Gatollari. If you want to follow my page there, I'm on Twitter as Taf Gato because my name's too long, so that's TAFGATO at Taf Gato. If you want to see some of my tweets, I tweet a lot about Tiger King on Netflix and Joe Exotic, so I hope you're prepared for that. But yeah, definitely check out the show. Follow Ghost Hunters on social media. There's a lot of really cool stuff they're going to be teasing out over there, and I'll try to get them. I'm going to try to get the studio to get a giveaway going. So if you want some Ghost Hunter swag when the show debuts for season 2,
Woohoo!
stay tuned. Maybe get yourself a nice little hoodie or a T-shirt with my face on it with a big thumbs up.
And it has I ain't afraid of no ghosts.
Yeah, or like ghost watch you poop on the back. That might be copyright, so we'll work it out. We'll let Amy work it out.
Oh man, well I tell you what, it's been an honor having you on the show. I've had a blast.
Well, thanks, Kevin.
Hey.
Yeah, me too.
Hey, not a problem. I can't wait to hunker down and well, I am hunkered down. I mean, I'm stuck in the house, but
Yeah.
April 8th, get that popcorn ready. 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, A&E, Ghost Hunters, Season 2.
You're going to love it, man.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks so much, Kevin.
Hey, man, you have yourself a good evening, and I'm sure I'll be messaging you during the show.
Yeah. Hit me up. Seriously, whenever, man. It's good to talk to you.
All right, well, you have yourself a good evening.
You too, brother.
All right, talk to you later.
All
right, bye.
Yep, take care. Bye.
Well, there you have it. We were talking to Mustafa Gatollari from A&E's Ghost Hunters. So do remember that. April 8th, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. Ghost Hunters 2-hour premiere of Season 2. Join us next week, April 1st. Kind of weird date, but we're going to be talking to Denise Pridemore. She is the DJ of her own radio show. I just can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. I actually did the logo for it. Pretty bad, isn't it? So anyway, hope you all enjoyed the show. We will talk to you all later and see you next week.
The Phantasmic Journey Podcast is brought to you by Tascam and Amazon Studios. For more than 30 years, Tascam has developed products for every segment of the sound and music industry. From the high-end audio professional in a major post-production studio to the novice of hobbyist at home, Tascam is everywhere. They are a company committed to providing their customers audio and video solutions that enable breakthroughs by using sound in ways that are exciting as they are accessible, even recording the voices of the dead. You asked for a non-scripted paranormal TV show. You begged for a non-staged paranormal TV show. You begged and you pleaded, and we have listened. We present to you Season 1 of The Paranormal Journey into the Unknown. It was released October 31st, 2017. In this series, we show you what it's like behind the scenes and conducting a real paranormal investigation. Join Gavin Kelly and Philip Purcell and their special guests to seek out the existence of life after death by going to numerous haunted locations such as jails, hospitals, battlefields, and museums, collecting compelling evidence by means of video, photography, and EVPs. In this season, the crew investigates the St. Albans Sanatorium, Old South Pittsburgh Hospital, Jailhouse Pizza, and the famed Monroe House. And you can watch Season 1 of The Paranormal Journey into the Unknown on Amazon.com right now. Season 2 and 3 will be coming soon.